Hi, can I have your attention, please? Okay. Hello, judges. Hello, fellow contestants. Hello, the audience. So before I begin my speech, I would like to ask you a simple question. Are there any of you here who are familiar with Amazon? Yes. Any of you have shopped on Amazon? Raise your hand. Oh. Okay. So I can see that most of you here are familiar with Amazon. Here's an interesting fact about Amazon. So in 2017, the majority purchases on Amazon are influenced by machine learning, a subset of artificial intelligence. And most of these are done with market demand algorithm and product recommendation algorithm. And you might be wondering, what does this have anything to do with Sony? So you see, AI is slowly entering our life with big companies like Amazon, Facebook, Google are trying to research on it, utilizing it in order to improve the quality of their services. And for Sony, in November 2017, the CEO of Sony, Kazuo Hirai, decided to re-enter the AI market by relaunching one of their old product, the eyeball robot. And so the question here is, with all of these big companies already existing in the market, is this a wise decision for Sony to enter the market right now? Could AI be the next frontier for Sony? My name is Ming, we're Team Orange, and we're here to answer that question. So I will begin with a brief recap of Sony history with eyeball. So Sony was founded in 1946 in the aftermath of World War II in Tokyo. It soon go global in the 1950s and entered the US in 1960. It originally operated as a producer of electronic products, but soon branched out into various markets such as gaming, mobile, movie, music, insurance, or even finance. And Sony took its first step into the AI market in 1999 by launching the first model of the eyeball. However, in 2005, as Sony became more large and diverse, the market is faced structural challenge as the management of the company became more fragmented. Therefore, with the aim of profit, the CEO at the time, Howard Stinger, decided to discontinue the production of eyeball, and it has gone to sleep ever since, up until 2017. So that's my quick recap of the history of Sony and eyeball. Now I would like to introduce Clark, my teammate, to talk about the market research. Okay, Clark.
Hi guys. I'm going to talk about the SWOT analysis for the AI Sony's eyeball. Okay. First things first, we have strength. So as Sony is the first mover in AI market, definitely as a first mover, any customer they interact with, they would encounter, definitely they would remember and keep buying their products. And aside from that, they would have this increase in AI demand. So from this point to 2025, we would have an increase of 52% in growth in AI demand. Aside from that, we have weaknesses that eyeball is a high-priced, high-luxury product, and it can't compete with other robotics, because right now it's priced at $3,000, including the 3-year subscription plan. And if you compare that with its competitors, with Kurobo Mini, with Anki Cosmos, and Pepper, they are priced at $400, $250, and $1,800. That's way too big of a gap. Next, having high R&D costs, yes, it's good for AI, but there's no statistical relationship with high R&D that relates to good sales. Yep. And aside from that, having high R&D costs, it's harder to have more cash flows and more leverage in other aspects. Aside from that, in positioning, it's harder to do a robotics niche. And next we go for opportunities. And Sony already has this medical AI divisions. And we can use that and combine it with Sony eyeball and produce something more, a good synergy. Next, it could be the smart home assistants, aside from Alexa and Google Home. Also with the subscription-based model, it would definitely increase our revenue stream. For the threats though, we have competitors like big tech companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, that has these big resources that could easily eat up the robotics market space. And aside from that, there would be low demand because we still don't know the specific demand on the robotics consumer market. And lastly, legal issues with data privacy and AI in general. That's all my part, and it will be next. Jasmine will be talking about financials. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine and I'm going to talk about the Sony's finance. So as we can see from the statistics, the 5-year average revenue is 4.67% from the last 5 years. And the average 5-year gross profit is 231.33. So there is a huge increase from the last 5 years. And this is just because of the highest sales in the PS4 for the Sony. So for the free cash flow, it increases from 380,000 to 991,000, almost 992,000. So it's always not too bad to have a high free cash flow. From this, I can say that the Sony have the ability to maintain its dividend, and or they can also increase the payout for the future growth. So next, I will talk about the gross margin ratio. Again, it increases from 23.32 to 27.08. So from this, like the Sony has the, like they are selling the inventory for a very high profit. And this is all just because of the, like they are selling the hardware and the software at the same time. So the next comes the ROI capital, which is the most important part. As you can see from the last 5 years, it was negative, minus 4.23. And to the current year, it increases to 12.13. So this means that they are getting the more returns on their investments. So yeah, so that's all that shows the health, the financial health of the company. So my next teammate Cecilia is going to talk about the risks.
Thank you, Jess. Hi everyone, I'm Cecilia. So now I'm going to discuss risk analysis and control. So we highlight 3 risks. The first one is customer acceptance. Based on the research, it's like about 47% of Americans actually distrust AI robots in terms of taking care of elderly. The second risk is like the tax reform impact. Actually, tax reform is really happening right now. That means it will cause a major change to Sony corporations, because I mean to their financial performance and plans. Because like Sony corporations is like multinational corporations with a lot of major subsidiaries in the US. The last risk will be like internal risk. That will be the management risk. So regarding the case, Sony Corporation actually sold about 150,000 iPhones in the past. However, it was like experiencing a poor financial result back to 2005. So now let's I mean, in the long-term run, if Sony Corporation couldn't generate as many as revenues actually that they are expecting for, that will be a really high risk for them in terms of their like management and operating activities. So now let's move to the next. Oh, red button, sorry. So in terms of the risk control, so basically Sony Corporation could try to reduce their management risk and also reduce the tax reform impact influence. And also they could try to improve the customer acceptance. So probably you would ask me, how are they going to do so? So for example, in order to increase customers' acceptance, Sony actually could try to open the black box. That means they should be more transparent about how iPhone works. So that means in order to build a trust between Sony Corporation itself and its customers, as well as helping them to build a better understanding of iPhones. So now that's all my part for risk analysis and control. So now let's welcome my teammate Chang, who is going to discuss legal analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Appreciate that. So hi, my name is Todd, and I will now go into everyone's favorite topic, which is legal. So now, as my teammate mentions, if Sony decides to dig into AI industry, there will be several risks and as well as legal concern that need to be considered. And this is AI, we're talking about machine learning. So first thing comes to mind is data protection. And this becomes the problem because
at the moment, the U.S. lacks of one single comprehensive regulation that tackles directly on the data collection as well as the personal information, the use of personal information. However, as we know, there is actually such regulation available in European Union, which is called the General Data Protection. So what Sony can do is utilize this GDPR to enhance their data security. And what is so good about this is that Sony is not binding to this law, so actually this can use to serve as a guideline to provide a strict data protection. And also the US market have reasonable high concern about privacy, so this can actually become one of the Sony competitive advantage. So that is the legal analysis. So now I will leave the stage to our very last member, Nelly, to talk about the recommendations.
So the question is still there. Is it an intelligent decision for Sony to launch this IMO? And our answer is no, because currently in the market, they don't really have a solid niche. They are not having a comparative advantage in their AI compared to Apple and all these major corporations. But our solution is maybe Sony could incorporate their IMO with a medical diagnosis feature, like this. The dog looks at a person and sees. IMO could have the sensors, camera technology, speech and voice analysis, scanning technology to detect illnesses in the early stages by measuring your pulse, body temperature, your facial features. AI already used widely in medicine, for example, through chatbots or Apple Watch. They're currently conducting a heart study with Stanford Medicine by measuring the pulse. Also, IBM developing new technology by analyzing speech and voice to detect Alzheimer's and all these serious mental illnesses. So what if Sony could do the same? They're not new in their technologies. They already have this medical branch where they are developing their surgical technology with a high camera technology and scanning and sensors. So they could marry these two positions and create this new AI home diagnostic device, which could just go around, scan your body, update, and collect this information, connect it, and give a report on your health status. By statistics, it seems like by 2019, it will be 50% increase in the use of robotics for the medical and healthcare delivery service. Also, by this chart, we see that customers are ready to incorporate these technologies in their lives. So 47% agree that they would use it whenever they could, if those technologies would be available. So it would create for Sony a positioning value. It would benefit the customers, like they would have the new healthcare experience. They would have, it would bring them time and resource efficiency. It will reduce healthcare costs because they don't have to go to the primary care anymore. Also, it will allow the early detection of mental illnesses and medical conditions and provide more data for the medical researchers to bring the value to the whole community. That's all for our solution and our presentation. Thank you so much for your attention, and please ask any questions.
First question. I like the idea, it's great. And I'm just always imagining how if a person has like a heart attack, you know, you call 911 there, that's great. But we do still have a problem with price. So if you're adding all of these extra features, some price comes down.
So it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but at least customers will know that they will pay for more functionality and versatility of this.
And to answer it more, basically, if we keep on building and building, and definitely we could push the variable cost down for that certain product, and it will be cheaper and more consumer friendly of the price.
Also, for example, IBM, they don't have hardware. So, for example, Sony could collaborate with them to kind of like borrow their technologies into, and yeah.
assuming that all the medical sensors you put in, who's the competition?
The competition, so I mentioned the
Yeah. So one of the competitors could be Pepper, because they could like put them up in restaurants and insurance sales and even like senior homes and healthcare hospitals, and they look like humans. So that's one of the competitors.
They do not have that feature yet, so
Mhm.
for now,
Yep.
we're asking for now.
For now.
Would you actually have competitors?
Nope.
So IBM, they are developing some technologies, but it's not, people don't have easy access to their technology, so it's our comparative advantage.
Question. You said that you asked, is it an intelligent decision to launch IVO? And I thought that you said the answer is no, but then you went on to say some things that you guys would suggest. So it sounds like you're saying yes, they should launch it as long as they make these changes to IVO. Is that correct?
So to answer that, we were correct on our stand that we said no on the decision to diversify, right? It's more of like the retrospective. But right now we're recommending solutions that could maybe change that course and make it profitable for the company.
Okay, so your answer is what?
It's a no for the intelligent decision because it's already retroactive, right? The question. And now we're proposing solutions so that we can move forward with the redirection. Any more questions?
I have a question. I appreciate the way you guys shaped your question from the beginning and all that kind of stuff. It felt like though the finances were just kind of background information. They didn't really feed into your decision-making process. How would you fold your numbers into that?
So to answer that question, right now our financials was just current, and just because IVO was launched from January to March, right? We do have that information with that slight revenue increase, but that doesn't hold true all the time because that's just like the first market interest. We still don't have the normalized data of what the consumer really wants. It's just hype up data for now.
I'm just wondering, could you have a segment analysis and then fold that into your risk analysis, like IVO, music, well, whatever the different segments are, and then what risk do those propose versus the payoff in the future? That would really, I think, be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
I've
sir.
got a quick question. Did you guys consider that you've got this interesting thing and that maybe other people could come up with good ideas for what to do with it?
Yep.
Because I have this phone and I got all kinds of apps on it that Apple didn't make or Google or Android. That, to me, is something I'm curious whether you guys ever thought about, like having other people make apps, make it open source.
So they have this cloud-based subscription, and you can already install the new features into the existing robot. So they could just put the apps into that cloud by other companies, for example, and just charge and then share the profit. Just like basically get the commission from the, just like to use it as an advertising platform for their apps.
And also to further the point, we did say yes to open source, and yes, having open source is good for transparency. Aside from that, we also attract talent from AI developers, and then that will be our competitive advantage, getting those AI developers. One question? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's been 5 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.